The very first thing you need to remember how to do in linear relationships is to plot points. So I've just highlighted A, the very first one there. I'm going to plot the point 2, 3. Remember, the first value is the X value and the second one is the Y value. So I'm going to go sideways first to 2 and then up to the 3 and put a dot. That would be the point A. And then you would repeat and do the rest of those dots on there and make sure you label each one. I don't need to do more than that, do I? You know how to do the rest of those? All right, good. Next page then. So then we were given a rule. So this one says the rule is y equals minus 2x plus 1. We want to fill in the table and draw the graph of that line. So who could tell me, what do you type in your calculator to find out this first box here? Rihanna. That's right, very good. And what does that equal? So it's negative 2 times negative 3 plus 1 equals 7. Great. So that number there is 7. Moving on to the next box, you're going to type in minus 2 times minus 2 plus 1, which equals 5. And you can keep going in that way, typing into your calculator, or you may see the pattern and work out what the next number is going to be. What is it? 3, yes, then. That's right, very good. Okay, so now for plotting. The minus 3 and minus 7 is our first, sorry, positive 7. Minus 3, 7 is our first point. I can just fit it on, even though the 7's not there. We go to minus 3, 7 would be that last spot there, put a dot. Then minus 2 up to 5, put a dot. Minus 1 up to 3, put a dot. 0 in the center up to 1. 1, negative 1. 2, negative 3. And 3, negative 5. Then get your ruler and draw a line through it. So this topic in particular, you do need to make sure you have a ruler for on your exam. Okay, next question. It says refer to question 2, but I don't really think we need to. It says, does the point minus 2, 1 lie on the graph of y equals 3x minus 5? To know whether a point is on that graph, you sub it in. So remember that the minus 2, 1, the minus 2 would be the x value and the 1 would be the y value. If I sub that into my rule, I get y, which is 1, equals 3x, which is 3 times minus 2, and then minus 5. Now I want to know if those two, if the left-hand side and the right-hand side of that is actually equal. So I've got 1 on this side. What is 3 times minus 2 minus 5? It's negative 11, isn't it? So are those things equal? No, 1 is not equal to negative 11. So if they're not equal, change these, put a line through the equal sign, because that means that they are not equal. And if they are not equal, it means that the point is not on that line. Okay, so therefore the point is not on the line. If you sub it in and they are equal, then it means that they are. It is on the line. Okay. Next one, next page, question 4. Find the rule for the table. So I'm going to do the second one. When you're trying to find the rule, you want to know what is the gradient and what is the y-intercept so that you can put it into the y equals mx plus b formula. So to find the m, you want to know what these numbers across the bottom are going up by. Are they going up? They're actually going down. They're going down by 2. If they're going down, it means I need a minus 2. They're going down by 2. Okay, to find the b, and I've deliberately chosen the harder one. The one you're going to do is a little bit easier. You normally want to find when x is equal to 0, and you want to find the number underneath it. So for this one up here, it's really easy because it's right there. But we don't have a 0. So we're going to have to put in a few extra things here. We're going to have to go 2, 1, 0 and count backwards and find out what the pattern would be as I go backwards. So if I am adding 2 as I go to the left, this one's going to be 0, then 2, and then 4. So good work, you are right. So underneath the 0 should be a 4, which means the B is equal to 4. This is definitely a challenging one, not the straight. Most of the ones that we did in class and the ones that I would be expecting on your exam, the 0 would be in the table and you'd just be reading it off. Okay, now to write it as a rule, you want to put it in the y equals mx plus b formula, or the rule, and you want to replace the m and the b with the two numbers that we found. So it would be y equals negative 2x plus 4. That is the final answer that we were really after. Okay, ready to move on? Question 5, find the rule by completing that. You can do that, you're just filling in the table yourself and then finding the rule. That's very similar. Question 6, all you're asked to do is to say whether these lines are positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Remember, uphill is a positive gradient, downhill is a negative gradient, 0 is your horizontal, and vertical lines are undefined. So I've pretty much told you the 4 things that are there, and you can just label the right ones for that. On to question 7, find the gradient of the line. A gradient is found by doing or using the formula rise over run. To find the rise and the run, we want to make a triangle with some 2 nice dots that we can find on our graph. Now, often the dots are given to us. So you can see the red dots in this one. I'm just close that in and make the triangle. And those lines are going to be the rise and the run. So the rise is the vertical one. How many spaces is the vertical bit? 4. So the rise is 4 and the run is 1. But the other thing that I have to look out for is this going uphill or downhill? Which means negative. Downhill means negative, so I have to put a minus sign in front of that. So that answer is fine, but it might be a little bit nicer just to write minus 4, because minus 4 divided by 1 is just minus 4. Okay, so that will be all of question 7, finding the gradients. On to the next page. State the gradient and the y-intercept. The gradient is m. All right, so we're looking for m for the gradient, and the y-intercept is what we've been calling the b. So I just want to know what the m and the b are of the equation that we have been given. Now the m, I'll write this down again, y equals mx plus b. As long as it's in that form where it's y equals and all the rest of your stuff is on the other side, the m is whatever's in front of the x, and the b is the other number that's without the x. All right? So for C, what is m? What's with the x? Half. So m, which is the gradient, is equal to a half. The b is the 7. That's it. So it's literally just reading those straight off, and that's all you're going to have to do. Question 2. We've done questions that look like this a second ago. This is slightly different because it says find the rule. The ones I did before said find the gradient. So I just did rise over run, found the gradient. If it says find the rule, that means I need the full equation. I need the y equals 2x plus 7, or whatever it is, make those numbers up. But I need to know the gradient and the y-intercept so that I can put them into the equation and make the equation. Yes? All right. So let's start with the m. The gradient. Gradient is rise over run, just like before. So using the dots that are on there, let's go straight down. Whoops, I went a bit far, and across at the second dot. What is the rise at triangle? 3. What is the run of that triangle? Is it uphill or downhill? Uphill, so it's going to be positive. So 3 over 1 is just equal to 3. Okay, that was the same as what we did before. Okay, the second thing we need is the y-intercept, which we call b. And that is where the graph is going through the y-axis. What number is my graph going through on the y-axis? This is the y-axis here. What number is it going through there? The slopey line. 1. So it's just going to be b equals 1. Now, putting that into the y equals mx plus b, our rule would be y equals 3x plus 1. That is the rule. These kind of questions are usually worth multiple marks because you get 1 if you did the gradient and 1 if you did the y-intercept. Probably 2. I don't think you get 3 putting it all together. You need to have it together. Okay? Next, question 3. Write the rule for the horizontal and vertical lines. Now, people always forget about these. I don't know why. If you have a vertical or a horizontal line, it is always going to be either x equals the number or y equals the number that it's going through. Now, to know whether it's x equals or y equals, it is the axis that it goes through. So in the one that I've highlighted, A, that line is going through the y-axis, isn't it? So it's going to be y equals, and I want the number that it's going through, which is what number is it going through on the y-axis? 2. Y equals 2. And I wasn't going to do b, but it's going through the x-axis. So it's going to be x equals and the number that's going through. Does that make sense? Yeah. Question 4. Find the x and y intercepts and then sketch the graph of the rules. So when we did these earlier in the year, we did a little line down the middle and we did when x equals 0 here and when y equals 0 there. We do the 2 parts and we've got to sub them in. So starting with the when x equals 0, I want to rewrite my equation and sub 0 where the x is. So it's y equals minus 2 times 0 minus 6. What does that equal? The y is already by itself. I just need to calculate that stuff on the other side. What's minus 2 times 0 minus 6? Negative 6. Perfect. So that's the first one done. The second one, subbing in that y equals 0, I put the 0 where the y is, which is first. So 0 equals, and then I have minus 2x minus 6. Now this one's a little bit harder because the x is not by itself. I'm going to have to solve the equation to get the x by itself. What is the opposite that I need to do? Good, yes, plus 6. All right, I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to have minus 2x equals 0 plus 6 is 6. What's my next step? Divide by minus 2. Great. So it's x equals negative 3. Okay, to put that onto the graph, we don't have to, we haven't got a lot of space here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be negative 6. That one there for the y-axis, y equals negative 6. And x equals negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Negative 3 would be there. And then you join it up. Oh, my ruler doesn't want to come up, so I'll just have to freehand that, unfortunately. Like that. Okay, that method is specifically if it says to use the x and y intercept method. If it doesn't say that, you might need to do it like we did before with a table of values. We also learnt another method, which was the gradient intercept method. So there are other methods to sketching straight lines. Question 5. This, I think, is right at the end, but I thought we better do this one together. This is one of these big wordy questions that kind of has everything in it. The volume of water in a larger tank is initially 1,000 litres. Initially means at the very start. So when time is 0, that 1,000 is my starting volume. Then it says the volume decreases, which means goes down, by 200 litres every minute. So after a minute, how many litres do I have? 800. Another minute passes and I'm down to 600, and I keep taking off 200 each time. So then 400, then 200, and then after 5 minutes, nothing left. It's completely empty. Okay, so filled in the table. B, use the axes provided to draw a graph by plotting the points given in the table for part A. So which one, T or V, is going to go on the bottom axis? T, yes, good. So think of the table as we normally have X and Y. So the T is where the X normally is, so it should be on the what we would consider to be the X axis, the horizontal one, which means the V is where the Y axis would normally be. All right, we might need to pick a scale for the V, but the T is nice. We're going to have 0 at the start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe let's just go up by 200s. I think it'll fit. So 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000. Okay, so 0 is obviously right there at the start in the corner. So plotting. When time is 0, the volume is 1,000. 1 is 800, 2 is 600, and so on. And it should make a beautiful straight line. Like that, which you rule with your ruler. Question C says, find a rule linking V with T. So we did this before when they were X's and Y's. We had a table. We did it with a table. It's probably easier with the table than the graph. So let's do it from the table. We've got the table up there, where we found the gradient, we found the y-intercept, and then we were able to say what the equation was going to be. So looking at that table, what is my gradient? What is the m? It's what these are changing by across here. Negative 200. Good. So the m is negative 200. The b is 1,000 underneath the 0. That's right. Okay, so normally we take those and we go y equals minus 200x plus 1,000. But we don't want to use x and y. We want to use v and t. So mine is going to be v equals minus 200t plus 1,000. It's just changing the letters from x's and y's to v and t. Okay with that? Part D, use your rule. So you better hope we get that rule right, because now we've got to use it to find the volume after 3.5 minutes. So that means I want to sub 3.5 where the t is. It'll be v equals minus 200 times 3.5 plus 1,000. Replace the t with the 3.5 is what I did, and I also had to put the times sign in because next to means times. All right, then we put it in our calculator. What do we get? Minus 300. You guys get the same thing?
Yeah.
You could also look at your graph to see if that makes sense. If you went to 3.5, which is here, and you went up and across, yeah, that pretty much looks like it's at 300. But I was asked to use my rule, which means you're meant to sub it in. Question E, use your rule again to find how long it takes for the volume to fall to 750 litres. That is going to be the V in the equation, and I'm going to solve it to find the time this time. So back to my rule, the V is 750 equals minus 200t plus 1,000. Solving for t, what should I do? First step. Nobody knows. What's my opposite? Can't do the 200 first, I'll do the 1,000 first. Minus 1,000. Okay, so that will get rid of that. Let's switch sides to get the minus 200t equals 750 minus 1000 is minus 250. Next step, divide by minus 200. So this is time. So it's not going to come out as a nice whole number, but let's put in minus 250 over minus 200. That would be the fraction, or decimals better. Yes, good. 1.25. Did I type in something wrong? Yeah. Negative on both of them. Yeah. So 1.25. What would be the units of that? Minutes, isn't it? Pretty sure it's minutes. We've got minutes here for this one. And back at the start, it said it was every minute that it was going down. So yes, it is minutes. All right, and that's it. We need to finish the booklet. Let's go.